You are now listening to Wolf Sports Network, live from the University of West Georgia in Carrollton, now in Odyssey Station.
Welcome to the Playbook, your ultimate game plan for college sports. 5 guys who live and breathe the game are here to break down the biggest plays, the hottest takes, and the boldest predictions, bringing you segments like The Kickoff.
Jalen Walker, I think, in my personal opinion, could wind up being the very best.
And introducing 3 new segments like the Peach Slate, talking all things Georgia.
Walk the Line, breaking down the crucial overs and unders of the weekend.
And Playbook Picks, where we make our predictions for this weekend's games.
And to end it all off, a signature segment of Who's That Campus Legend.
The first hint is this player went to UNC.
It's obviously Drake May.
Dude, it's Michael Jordan.
This is The Playbook on Wolf Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Playbook, episode 6. I'm joined by, of course, an amazing cast of Aiden Aby, Jackson Voles, Brandon Dyer, and, of course, myself, JT. Aiden, how are we feeling today?
I feel good.
There we go. Jackson, how are we feeling today?
I'm super excited to get another episode of the Playbook underway. I'm stoked.
Let's go. Brandon, how are we feeling today?
It is another Friday, which means we get to talk about the greatest sport known to man, college football.
Oh, yeah.
And how can you not love that? It's actually romantic when you think about it. But before we get to the kickoff, there was some heartbreaking news in the college basketball world that God's eldest daughter, Sister Jean, was called home last night. Yep. So if you want to at home, join us for a 10-second moment of silence for Sister Jean.
All right. Thank you, everybody. And now we will go ahead and get started with the show.
All right, everybody in here, are you ready for the kickoff? I said, are you ready for the kickoff?
You heard it, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get this right started. We had a lot of upsets this weekend. I don't know what I was trying to say. We have a lot of upsets this weekend. Iowa State falling to Cincinnati, Texas getting upset by Florida, and then, of course, Penn State and James Franklin falling to UCLA. We're going to start with Iowa State. And, Brandon, I'm going to throw this one to you first.
So, from the start of this game, Cincinnati took absolute control of it. They go up 17-0 in the first quarter and added 14 more points in the second quarter, where they wound up with a 31-7 lead right before halftime. But what may have been the biggest play of the game, if Iowa State would have been able to come back, was a 4-yard touchdown run right there before halftime to try and get themselves back into this game, make this a 2-possession game, and then they start the second half with a touchdown, go make it 31-22, and I don't know, Iowa State, they wind up not completing the comeback attempt against Cincinnati.
I mean, and you look at it, they had a shot. The last play of the game, they had the ball. They were only down by 8, and they were trying to pitch the ball back left and right and stuff like that. And then the Iowa State player just ran out of bounds instead of pitching the ball back when the team was down by 8. They were obviously trying to score. They obviously were trying to win the game. The Iowa State player is just a complete wazak. Like, I don't know what he was trying to do. I don't know what he was trying to do. They still had a chance in this game, and they just couldn't get it done.
And, a big part of it was throughout the game, Cincinnati running back Evan Pryor, 10 rushes for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he was playing bully ball. He was running out there like he's Cam Scattaboo for a minute, out there laying the wood throughout the game, y'all.
Yeah, not the only upset that we had this weekend. I don't know what's going on. But we also had Texas getting upset by Florida and Arch Manning. Jackson, tell us a little bit about this game.
This was an Arch Manning prove-it game, and I say that just because he hadn't played bigger competition since Ohio State Week 1. But did Arch Manning prove it? No. Texas O-line crumbled. Florida had the opportunity to rush for 113 yards in the first half alone. The first half alone. And Texas ran for They had 9 carries for 11 yards in the first half. It was their run game was non-existent. Florida bounced back after a bunch of wishy-washy performances early on in the season. I just didn't like what I saw out of this Texas offense, and I think Quinn Ewers got too much hate. He got too much hate as a quarterback over at Texas, and now you're looking at Arch Manning. The Quinn Ewers situation has kind of heated off a little bit just due to Arch Manning's play. I'm just not liking what I'm seeing out of Texas so far this season.
Yeah, I'm not liking what I'm seeing out of Texas, and I'm not liking what I'm seeing out of Arch Manning either. Like, if he's trying to get out of his dad's shadow, he's not doing a very good job of it this season. That's all I got to say.
See, Jackson, I am glad you finally pointed out the Texas offense as a whole instead of just Arch Manning.
Yeah.
Because it seems like everybody was just talking about Arch Manning this, Arch Manning that. He's not good. Arch Manning led this team in rushing with 33 yards in this game. Yeah. So I think that this is just a collective issue with the Texas offense. I think the offensive line has allowed 9 sacks this season, 69th in the entire nation. Whew. And when they do give Arch Manning enough time to throw, he's still like struggling to make those throws, and that's going to come when you have a young quarterback. But it's not all Arch's fault, but I will say that Arch Manning, you're looking to be – if you were a mineral, you'd be about as mid as Opalite.
No, it's Arch Manning got sacked like 6 times yesterday alone.
About 6 or 7 times,
it was very I didn't like what I saw from this Texas O-line. I just didn't. I didn't like what I saw from Texas in general, period. And I hate that people like to single out a quarterback alone, such as Arch Manning, when it's not just a singular person problem. There's a team, and there's the word team for a reason.
Yeah,
like
it's bad, though, that Arch Manning is, like you said, the leading rusher. He's the leading rusher not just in the game, but he was the leading rusher on the season so far for Texas. He's like the only player that's trying to make plays for this Texas offense. The defense is fine. The defense is good. But Arch Manning's trying to do everything on that offense, and it's just not working out this season.
And again, there is going to come a time where he has to step up and he has to live up to that last name that he does have. But I don't think right now is the time. I don't even think that you can look at Arch Manning and say he's half of what is wrong with Texas right now. Like, I don't think Steve Sarkisian is supposed to be this offensive mastermind, and he just hasn't figured out an offense. It doesn't seem like this Texas offense has an identity at all.
And especially with a highly competitive SEC that it's been this year with top teams like Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, and everybody up there, even Mizzou and Vandy, Ole Miss. When you have Texas, who's an 8 or 9 ranked team when they were supposed to be a top 2, maybe top 3, maybe even the 1 seed heading into the SEC this entire season, it's truly disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, that's not the only upset that we had this weekend as well. Probably the biggest upset that we had is Penn State getting upset by a completely beaten UCLA team. Aiden, tell us about this game.
Yeah, this UCLA team came in as maybe the worst team in the country, the only team in the FBS who hadn't had a lead all season. And they go out and they go up big on Penn State early in this game, 27-7 at the half. It's what we saw in Iowa State. Iowa State was down 31-7 in that late in the first half. And Florida was up on Texas 19-7 in the first half. These teams went on the road to lesser competition, to unranked teams, and they just didn't come out of the gates strong. They didn't come out of the gate. They came out like they could win just by showing up. And we saw it come back and bite Penn State. They gave up 294 yards of offense to Nico Yamaleva and 5 touchdowns.
I mean, that was a great game from Nico. I mean, he looked honestly better than he did look when he played for Tennessee.
Yeah.
I think that was a legacy game for him. And I think that if they can continue to build off of this, we might have some promise for the future for this UCLA team. But sticking with Penn State, we just got to talk about James Franklin. I mean, this guy isn't even coaching over there in Happy Valley. He's canoodling. He's not coaching, he's canoodling. And it's unbelievable. Like, you go from losing probably the most meaningful game of the season against Oregon, and then you turn around and you lose to a team that has not won a single game. And it was a pretty embarrassing loss, if anything.
It's just a total lack of preparation in this game for Penn State. Just came in not ready to play a football game on Saturday.
Thing is, the Penn State offense looked stellar. I mean, Drew Aller alone, 19 for 26, 200 yards and 2 passing touchdowns, and then the rushing room combined for 157 yards. So the only thing I really want to highlight is this Penn State defense. This Penn State defense crumbled under pressure, especially. I think they were more frazzled when it came to the ending of the Oregon game. And it just was lower on momentum, like D momentum. What's the antonym for momentum, Aiden? Like what's the opposite word?
Not
for
momentum.
Stagnant.
Losing momentum.
Stagnant. They were just looking stagnant heading into this game against UCLA. And I mean, Nico Iamaleava. I didn't like what he said when he said, I told those guys, like, if you want to leave, you can leave. But I'm staying. And it's funny that Nico Iamaleava said that when he's the one who had the whole thing about Tennessee and him leaving this offseason. It's just a little funny to me.
Hey, bought in now.
This loss has pretty much canceled any kind of hopes that Penn State had. for the college football playoff. And you look at James Franklin. James Franklin is now 2-21 against top 6 teams in his tenure over there at Penn State. So we can assuredly say he is the second best in the Big Ten, but he's never going to be the best. You know what you're going to get out of James Franklin going into every single season, and that is a 10-2, 11-1 team that last year they wound up making the playoffs, but it was because they really didn't face tough competition outside of playing that game against Ohio State, which they got beat. So if I'm a Penn State fan, I don't know how I'm feeling about it, simply because Penn State now is in a situation where he signed a 10-year contract in 2021, and the buyout for that contract, if they try to buy him out at the end of the season, is $48 million. So if I'm a fan, am I saying Penn State, it's worth it paying that $48 million to James Franklin? That way you'll go away.
Dude, you should not pay. You should not. Why are you getting rid of 10 wins a year? Who are you going to go out and find that's going to do a better job at Penn State than James Franklin? There are no marquee coaches, I think, that are going to want this job in the Big Ten. They're going to want this job in the Big Ten. You got to play Ohio State. You got to play Michigan. You got to Indiana with Signetti now is going to be a tough game every year. It's just too competitive. Oh, Oregon. I didn't even mention Oregon. Dan Lanning. You got to play all of these teams. 10 wins is about as good as you're going to get in the Big Ten right now, even from a great coach.
But what if they find him a Kirby Smart? What if they find him somebody that
What are the
gets
odds
him
of
to
that?
where
Yeah,
they get
that
11-1?
that happens once in a generation that
Hey,
you just
I'm
hire
just
a
saying,
coordinator
look,
and he
Penn
becomes
State's
a
a big enough brand where they can get in recruits. You bring in the right guy, and I think that you can compete. Dude, you can compete with Oregon, and you compete with Ohio State there.
He does compete with them.
know.
He just don't win that often.
Yeah, I was about to say, you've got to
It's
win
hard
those
to beat
games, though.
It's hard to
Aiden.
win those games every single year. You're not going to find a coach that you could just
Well, yeah.
come in and beat Ohio
Bro,
State
Penn
all of a sudden.
State had what I would say is the most maybe Ohio State had a better roster than Penn State this year.
Yeah.
But, dude, Penn State's not cutting it when it comes to that, dude. Like,
I actually have an idea here. Have James Franklin take the Mike Norvell route and take a huge pay cut if he's going to continue being at the head coach position for Penn State next season. You talk about them being a big enough brand, having enough money, and bringing in those highly recruited talents, not just from high school, but the transfer portal itself. Have him take a pay cut and have him an under fire year. Like under fire year.
Part of the deal with James Franklin was that you're not going to lose to lesser teams, and now he's lost to a very, very lesser team.
This is probably the worst loss he's had in his Penn State tenure, but you're acting like he went 3-9 and got lost to Cal.
I'm not acting like that now.
This team is still good. This team's probably going to be a 10-2 team.
I'm
they
not
probably
saying
recover.
they need to fire him today. I'm not saying they need to fire him at the end of the season.
You're talking
but
about
you at least
buyouts.
have to look at it. Yeah, we at least have to talk about it at least. Like, we don't have to actually do it,
you
but
can't
let's
you
at
can't talk
least
about a man's buyout
talk
and then say you're
about it a
not
little
talking about
bit.
firing him. That's what a buyout is firing him. And James Franklin does not deserve in any universe to be fired. This guy's a top 10 coach in college football, and if you don't think that, you're delusional.
I mean, you look at the NFL, there's coaches in the NFL that they struggle to convert in those big games. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, the Bills themselves, like, we struggled to coach well in those big games. James Franklin's that same way. Like, he's giving you 10 wins a season. You're not going to find much better than that in the coaching market. Like, you're getting 10, 11 wins a season, and you may lose one or two. Like, they went to overtime with Oregon, who's one of the best teams in the country.
Potentially the best team in the country.
Yeah,
went to
potentially
overtime
the
with
best
them.
team. Yeah.
One play away from winning that game, and completely different year.
I'm looking upon the rest of the season. They have Northwestern and Iowa in the next 2 games, and then they play Ohio State and Indiana back-to-back, and then the rest is Rutgers, Nebraska, and Michigan State. Those are very winnable games. I think they win against Michigan State, beat Nebraska, beat Rutgers, beat Northwestern, beat Iowa. The only ones I'm hesitant on.
I think they will lose one of those games.
State,
Yeah, I mean,
Indiana.
Ohio State and
If he loses to Ohio State and Indiana, then what does the conversation become? Because you're now the third best team in the Big Ten, or possibly the fourth.
Yeah, fourth.
Yeah, so now it's
6th, 7th.
what's happening. Like, what are we going to do with James Franklin then? Because it's like, I know that you're beating lesser competition, but you've got to beat people that are equivalent to you, that are on your level.
I mean, he just went to the semifinals of the college football national championship. Was a game away from playing for a national title last year. I think calling for his buyout to be triggered.
And then he beat Boise State and SMU, who were
beat
two
the
of
teams
the worst
in front
teams
of
that
them.
made the college
beat the
football
teams in front of
playoff.
them. You can't blame them for
Like, I'm not
beating
saying
who's on the
Penn
schedule.
State's definitely a top 10 team in the country, I feel like. Definitely a top 10 job. But there comes a time where you've got to ask yourself, what are we going to do to advance this program? And James Franklin hasn't advanced the program past 10-2.
I mean, he won, 12, 13 games with them last year? He did. He took them to the college football playoff semifinal. One of the best 4 teams in college football, and you want to talk about he can't win big games, and then when he wins big games, you're like, oh, well, those games weren't big enough.
Well, I mean, they were big games, but I mean, again, are we going to act like SMU and Boise State are up there with Ohio State and Oregon and Georgia and Alabama? Are we going to act like those teams are up there in competition with them?
James Franklin didn't make the bracket for the college football playoff. He can't.
I'm
be
saying,
like, oh man,
yeah, he can't control who he plays, but he was favored in those games. He's just struggling in games that he may have a slot.
I mean, yes.
I mean, if you're not favored in a game, then I mean,
it is harder to beat better teams. That is true, and he can do it. He's won. He's 2-21. He's won them before. He's getting better as time goes. He's getting closer. 5 years ago, Penn State in the whiteout was getting beat by 50 by Ohio State every year.
Yeah.
I remember they would come in and they would just blow him out. Now he's up there. He's playing with them. In another couple of years, he'll be beating them. I believe in James Franklin building a program. He did it at Vanderbilt, where he had that team competitive in the SEC out of nowhere. He's done the same thing at Penn State, where he took a team that was crippled by scandal. Nobody wanted to go to Penn State. Awful brand name from what had happened there. And he's built them back up into a contender in the Big Ten every year, where you do have to worry when you see Penn State on your schedule now.
I don't know. I think Penn State fans are probably feeling melancholy and may feel like they have the same fate as Ophelia from William Shakespeare's Hamlet after that loss to UCLA.
I don't know. James Franklin is the key word and definition of consistency. So.
All right, well, after all these upsets this weekend, taking a look at the new AP poll, Ohio State, Miami jumping Oregon to take that 2 slot. We got Oregon at 3, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Indiana, Alabama, Texas Tech, and then Georgia jumping back into the top 10 as well. Now, some of the biggest fallers we have, obviously Iowa State falling 8 spots down to 22 after their loss to Cincinnati. Florida State losing to Miami this weekend, falling 7 spots from 18 to 25. And obviously Texas and Penn State, after their upset losses, are now out of the top 25. But looking at the more positive side of it, we have a lot of big risers. Missouri, Michigan, Notre Dame, Illinois, BYU, and Virginia all moving up 5 spots right into that middle of the pack of the top 25. And then Memphis and South Florida got to also move up into the top 25. So, I mean, this is a very, very unique top 25. It's changed quite a bit from last week, and I mean, I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Yeah, it's just a war of attrition in the teens in those rankings right there. You see who can stay alive, whose team can stay at 1 loss, stay at 0 losses, and teams are just going to get beat and fall every week. It's middle of college football season, what I love to see.
My only issue with the top 25 is Miami. I feel like Miami should be the top team in the country, and I don't think there's a debate about it.
I think they're going to wait.
They've beaten 3 ranked teams already this season, and they've looked well while doing it.
Yeah,
and I mean, I would say I wasn't big on Miami heading into the season. You had all the offseason stuff going on with Carson Beck following around the life of a showgirl in Hannah Cavender. But she is no Elizabeth Taylor, and Carson Beck is taking over the college football world.
I mean, I do agree. I think Miami is no doubt the best team in the country. But until Ohio State proves us wrong, they're going to remain that number 1 spot. I mean, no doubt in my mind.
I think that's the best defense in the country.
Ooh, I mean, we'll get to that a little bit later probably. Now we are going to go into an ad break. We're going to show some love to the other shows. When we come back, we're going to talk about Georgia, and we're going to talk about walking the line. Don't go anywhere.
You are now listening to WSN Wolf Sports Network, live from the University of West Georgia in Carrollton, now an Odyssey station.
It's time for Season 2 of the Playbook, and we're talking all things college football, putting together a better sophomore season than Tim Tebow in 2007.
To the listeners and everybody at Wolf Nation, I promise you one thing. You will never see an on-air personality work as hard as I will for Season 2 of the Playbook, and we will make this show better than any college football radio show will ever be for Season 2 of the Playbook.
Listen as we fulfill this promise, live, every Friday at noon.
This season,
everything changes. I'm the only one who came back, and honestly, I might regret it.
Josh Allen might just be the best athlete the NFL has ever seen.
Spencer Strider is an elite closer posing as an ace.
D Rose is the most overrated player of all time.
One vet, all new voices, hot takes, wild debates, and zero chill. Season 6 of Sports Out of Pocket debuts this fall, only on Wolf Sports Network.
Ian's freestyle went big. But we're gonna go bigger.
Dang, it's my first season. I feel like a star. I be dropping hot takes. I speak real bizarre. How many views we gonna get? I'd say about 1 mil. Out of Pocket Season 6. We got zero chill. Tune in to Season 6 of Sports Out of Pocket. Wednesdays at 6 on Wolf Sports Network.
Welcome to the Boring Sports Show, where we only bring the most boring sports takes.
Who are you? I am Hot Takes Man, and I defend the world from boring sports shows like yours. Another day's work for Hot Takes Man. Citizen, if you want to save yourself from boring sports content, then tune in to Sports Out of Pocket, Wednesdays from 6 to 7 on Wolf Sports Network.
From Athens to Atlanta, Statesboro to Macon. If college football is being played in the Peach State, we're all over it. This is the Peach Slate.
You heard it, ladies and gentlemen. It's a Peach Slate. We're going to talk about all things Georgia, and we're going to start off with our West Georgia Wolves. A tough game at Austin Peay. We lost 30-44. First loss of the season for us. Davin did go down during this game, but we're going to hope that he's going to be back for this next week against Abilene Christian, and it's a home game, so be there. But in this game, Austin Peay's starting quarterback, Chris Parson, had 5 total touchdowns, 3 in the air, 2 on the ground. He threw 16 for 27 for 346 yards. And at the end of the game, we started to come back a little bit towards the end of the game, but Will Middleton for Austin Peay sealed the game with a pick 6 against Colton Fitzgerald, who came in for Davin Widener. And West Georgia takes their first loss of the season, dropping from first in the conference to now third place tie in the conference. And I was hoping for a little bit more of a defensive battle. I feel like West Georgia's defense just did not perform up to what we have seen from them before. They were going into this game as a top 10 FCS defense, and Austin Peay had the number 7 run defense in FCS. And so I'm like, why was there so much points? Why was there so many points? Like, this should have been a defensive battle. I don't think it should have went over like a 24-17 game, but we ended up seeing a total of 74 total points and over 800 yards of total offense.
So, like, there's been a lot of people trying to put the blame of this on the offensive line of West Georgia. We still put up 30 points. We still had over 150 yards rushing. But I want to say that it was the secondary for West Georgia that wound up really just kind of laying an egg out there.
Yep.
It was like, dude, Austin Peay had 16 completions for 346 yards.
Yep.
So they're giving up big play after big play after big play in the passing game. And that's just disheartening as a defensive lineman when you know you're doing your job up front, doing a good job stopping the run, but the guys behind you just can't cover.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, 16 completions for 346. That's over 20 yards a pass that was getting completed.
So, yeah, it's like these aren't just check downs.
They were going for these big plays, and they were converting them pretty consistently. 16 for 27 is a pretty solid stat line, especially when you're throwing the ball over 20 yards down the field almost every play. And West Georgia's defense just could not stop it, which we saw them all season have been able to stop this kind of like game plan, but they just could not do it against Austin Peay. It was a great game. I think that West Georgia has a lot to look forward to. Obviously, we came into it undefeated. We're gonna drop one. We're only in our second season of D1 football, but going into our game next week against Abilene Christian, actually our game tomorrow against Abilene Christian, is going to be a great matchup. 2 ranked teams. I'm really excited to see it. But going into our next game, we have Kennesaw State beating Louisiana Tech just yesterday, actually, 35-7. Joey, tell me about this game.
It was an amazing game. Didn't get to watch too much of it. I was a little busy editing some stuff. But the overall passing game was insane for Kennesaw. 27 completions out of 36 attempts, 4 touchdowns, compared to the other team with 21 attempts, 11 completions, 0 touchdowns, and an interception, though. We're absolutely dominated, and it was a crazy game, but also the scoring for Kennesaw is the best I've seen at all this season. So I'm happy to say Kennesaw's back.
Yeah, Kennesaw State winning that game at 35-7, and we were watching a little bit of it at the studio. And I want to go back to the biggest play of that game happened in the second quarter, right before halftime. Louisiana Tech is driving; they're inside the 10-yard line.
Yep.
And they're about to score, make it 14-14, and then Kennesaw State winds up getting a pick on that. So they go into halftime up 14-7, get the ball back in the second half to start it, and they wind up going down, scoring in their first possession in the second half to go up 21-7 to really kind of establish their control of this game. And they did a really good job of it throughout.
Yeah, like you said, in that first half, the score was only 14-7 going into halftime. And, I mean, it could have very easily been 14-14, but Kennesaw State's defense stepped up when it mattered most. They got an interception in the end zone, and they got to take the momentum of that interception going into halftime to then put up 21 more points in the second half and just have a really, really good game overall. We're going into this next game. We got Georgia Southern taking on Southern Miss and losing 35-38. This was also a great game. Aiden, talk about this game.
Just a shootout down in Southern. Or no, this was down in Statesboro, not in Hattiesburg.
Yeah.
Shootout down in Statesboro. I don't know why I went back to that, but yep. Georgia Southern threw for 300 yards, but had 3 picks. They were just slinging it all around the yard. 12 catches, 158 yards for Camden Brown. Southern Miss responded, just a more balanced attack. 31 carries, 140 yards, and 2 touchdowns for running back Jeffrey Pittman for the Golden Eagles over there. Just a classic, the Sun Belt matchup. Just 2 offenses going at it. Not a lot of defense between the two teams here tonight.
Yeah, as much as we would have loved to see Georgia Southern win this game, I still think this was a very good game. Georgia Southern was down very early and started to come back a little bit, and only losing by 3 when we saw them down by about over 20 points.
I was going to say, going into halftime, it was 28-7.
Yeah, we saw them down 28-7. They only gave up 10 more points in the second half and managed to put up another, 28 points on the board in the second half. So, I mean, what we saw out of Georgia Southern in the second half, all they had to do was get it started a little bit earlier, and they would have had a better shot in this game. But overall, I think it was a pretty good game. I think that I wish Georgia Southern would have got the win, but it's all right.
So, yeah, I think what was important with this one is Georgia Southern got back into this game and not playing their brand of football. Because their brand of football is running the football right down your throat. And what happened was they got behind 28-7. They wound up having to throw the ball a lot. And, I mean, it did result in 3 interceptions, but it did result in 3 touchdowns. You're going to have that when you have high-volume passing.
Yeah, I mean, you got to throw it deep. You got to take those deep shots. Impressive performance from J.C. French IV, the quarterback down there, to be versatile. Usually beat you with his legs. Showed that he could get it on with his arm a little bit, too. And just needs to be a little more efficient down the stretch next time.
Georgia Southern's usually a rushing team like you were talking about, but they had less than 3 yards of carry. They ran the ball 34 times, and they only had 82 rushing yards total this entire game. But then when they started to pass the ball, we saw 24 for 43 for 313 yards, 2 touchdowns. They did have 3 interceptions, but that's all shout out to Southern Miss's defense for making those key plays when it mattered most. And overall, that's what got them the win in this one. Now, going into our next game, we have Georgia State versus James Madison. A very, very low-scoring game. Georgia State only scoring 7 in this game. James Madison, 14. And, I mean, overall, offenses looked pretty solid, but defenses looked even better. For Georgia State, TJ Finley went 19 for 28, 198 yards and a touchdown. Both teams kind of inefficient on third downs and overall led to a lot of punts in this game. But overall, very evenly matched game, I'd say. Both teams had just barely 200 yards total offense. Aiden, you want to add anything?
The antithesis of what we saw in that Georgia Southern game. This was just Georgia State went out to an early lead, took 7-0 at the halftime, And then James Madison just grinded it down. 33 carries for 200 yards for their running backs, and just beat down the Georgia State D-line and got 2 touchdowns in the second half of this game to get the win.
Yeah, now their next game is against App State, but the team that we just talked about before with Georgia Southern, they are actually playing next weekend. We got Georgia Southern taking on Georgia State, and that's going to be an awesome game. It's going to be in Statesboro. I'm excited to talk about that game next week.
I do want to stick with Georgia State for just a second. I want to say there's been some people talk about Dell McGee over their Georgia State head coach, who's in his second season and already receiving hot seat bids, 17 games into his coaching over there with the Panthers. And I just want to say this is absolutely ridiculous that this guy is being labeled as someone that's on the hot seat.
Yeah.
He was given a roster that wasn't very well, and he went out this past offseason, got the #1 recruiting class in the whole entire Sun Belt in the offseason. So there's at least some kind of direction to this program. They're sitting at 1-4 right now, but that's because they played Vanderbilt earlier, and they've had tough competition this season.
Let's not also forget they played Ole Miss to start their season off. Oof.
Yeah.
I want to say that, I just defended James Franklin from being on the hot seat. Dell McGee, I could see it. 4-13 in his 17 games out there. Took over a roster. This roster was not in a bad shape. This team had won 3 out of 4 bowl games, 3 out of 4 last years in the Sun Belt. That's very impressive for a program to do. They had the foundation, and Dell McGee has he's looked like a Sun Belt Jimbo Fisher out there so far.
Like he might
be recruiting good, but the results are not there on the field right now.
He has some Sun Belt conference games that he has coming up where he can prove himself.
We'll see how he
I
does,
think
yeah.
that this is just overshadowed by Ole Miss and Vanderbilt just kicking Georgia State's teeth in.
Looked good against a strong James Madison team, so I guess that is a good start. But I can see he doesn't get 5 wins this season. I could see getting rid of Dale.
Yeah, and then we have 2 more games. Obviously, Georgia Tech had a bye week this past week. They're taking on Virginia Tech at home this upcoming week. I feel like Georgia Tech should have this one, but overall it is a conference opponent. You're going to be a little bit worried about that.
Yep.
And then the last game, we had Georgia taking on Kentucky, winning 35-14. We just saw a great overall game from Georgia. Their defense was playing really, really well. As we know, their pass rush doing really, really well. And then their total offense, Gunnar Stockton had a pretty solid game, just under 200 yards passing. But then the Georgia's ground game is just insane. 180 rushing yards on 44 carries. And overall, this was just a really good game from Georgia. They need to have a little bit of a rebuttal from what we saw a couple weeks ago against Alabama. And so overall, I think they got that done.
Yeah,
but now it's time to walk the line.
There is no way Carson Beck is throwing for 240 this game.
Are you kidding me? This is a cakewalk for him. I'm hitting the over.
Walk the line.
You heard it, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to walk the line. And our first line that we have for Aiden, we have Florida at Texas A&M, and Texas A&M is favored by 7.5. What do we look at this line?
I look at this line, and I see a Florida team that just got rid of a Texas team last week, dropped them out of the AP poll, and I think DJ Lagway has recovered. I think Billy Napier's got his team back from where they were at the start of this year, where they just looked lethargic. They didn't look good on either side of the ball, to be honest with you. Lost to South Florida, and just the whole season looked like it was going downhill. I think they've recovered. I think they're back to where they should be, and I think they can go out and compete with and potentially win in College Station this weekend against the top 10 Texas A&M team.
I don't know if they win, but I do think they cover the spread. I like what you said about how they just knocked Texas out of the top 25. Florida definitely has gotten their rhythm back. They figured it out with DJ Lagway, and this is a better Florida team than what we saw at the beginning of the season, and I think they are at their peak right now going up against Texas A&M. Going into our next matchup, we have Ohio State taking on Illinois, probably the biggest game of the weekend. Ohio State is favored by 14.5. Brandon, tell me about this game.
So Ohio State, otherwise known as James Franklin's father figure, is going up against this Illinois team, and I'm really excited to watch this happen because I think that Illinois has grown a lot since that 63-10 loss to Indiana. I think they proved me wrong. I think that was a big win against USC. USC, I know Aiden knows how highly I think of USC over there. And I think that getting that win may have built up a little bit of confidence so that they can try and go out, compete with this Ohio State team. I don't think that Illinois outright wins this game, but I think it's going to be closer than the 14.5 point spread that they have on it.
Yeah, and now going into this next game, we have Navy taking on Temple. The line is 52.5 points on the over-under. Joey, tell me about this.
See, I know both these teams are really insane when it comes to the rush, but their passing is also insane. Both quarterbacks over 800, but I don't see how it's actually as low as 52.5 for this one. I actually could see this going over 60 points, maybe even approaching 65 total points by the teams.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, looking at this game between Navy and Temple, I just have one word to describe it: Dudinkus. Like, I don't even know. Like, it's just there. It's just kind of like a game that's going to happen this week. And I mean, looking at Navy, you can't spell midshipman without mid. And Temple is so good that Texas Tech tried to be them by copying their logo. All jokes aside, though, I do think that these are two high-powered offenses. Like you said, I think they hit the over with ease. Going into our last one, we got South Carolina taking on LSU. LSU is favored by 9 points. And, I mean, I think that their last game against Ole Miss for LSU, I think that was a pretty solid game. It was a loss for them. And I think that South Carolina's coming into this game with a very, very capable offense that can definitely – their last week win over Kentucky, they rushed for 178 yards on the ground. I mean, I feel like South Carolina could come into this one pretty ready. This is getting played in LSU, though, so I feel like South Carolina maybe could cover this, but I do think that LSU wins this by maybe 2 touchdowns. But now we are going to go to an ad break, and when we come back, we're going to be giving our picks for this upcoming weekend, and then, of course, we have Who's That Campus Legend, so don't go anywhere.
Throw it on a dime. It's Matty Fresh, and you're listening to The Playbook on Wolf Sports Network.
Listen up, because I got to tell you, Sports Pack is back and better than ever right here on Wolf Sports Network. Sports Pack is UWG's one-stop shop for all things sports. From hot takes to heated debates and even your best bets for the week, Sports Pack has you covered. So don't miss out on the fun. Catch us right here on Wolf Sports Network every Monday and Thursday at 6 p.m. See you there.
From the first whistle to the final buzzer, Wolf Sports Network brings you the action you crave. Sports Pack is your all-access pass to the Wolves athletics. From football, basketball, baseball, soccer, and volleyball, and more. If the Pack plays, we cover it. Passion, pride, Pack. Don't miss Sports Pack.
Every Monday and Thursday from 6 to 7 on Wolf Sports Network.
Sports Pack.
Sports Pack.
Sports Pack is back.
West Georgia's one-stop shop for all things sports. Whether it's UWG, NFL, NBA, or MLB, we've got you covered on all fronts right here on Sports Pack.
Mondays and Thursdays at 6, only on Wolf Sports Network.
Welcome aboard to Sports Out of Pocket Airlines, your nonstop flight to the highs and lows of the sports world. This is your Captain Jackson Vole speaking, and this is Flight Path, where we chart every climb and dive, teams taking off to championship skies, and players hitting unexpected turbulence. Buckle up, sports fans, and fasten those seatbelts, because when the whistle blows, we're cleared for takeoff. Listen to Sports Out of Pocket every Wednesday at 6, only on Wolf Sports Network.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Playbook picks.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our Playbook picks. My favorite segment because I like to just see how well I do each week. Our first game that we have is South Florida taking on North Texas. And North Texas is actually favored in this game by 1.5 points. Aiden, I'm going to throw this one to you first. Who are you picking in this one?
I like South Florida. They've been really good to start this year, and I think they keep it going against the Mean Green, which is another one of these really good non-Power 4 conference teams that I think could sneak into the playoff. I think this is actually a game that could determine who's coming out of the American Athletic, who's going to be in that conference championship game at the very least.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I think South Florida does have a really solid defense. I like Drew Mestamaker. He's been flawless, mistake-free this entire season, having 11 touchdowns and really limited on turnovers. I think North Texas could possibly pull this out, and I'm going to take North Texas over South Florida for this game.
I think that this is probably going to be the biggest Group of 5 matchup that we see all season. The other one might be Memphis later on this year when we see USF face them and North Texas face them.
Yeah.
But North Texas comes in undefeated, looking for their first signature win of the season. But I think that USF is more battle ready than North Texas is, and they've played a tougher schedule.
For sure.
I like them, and I'm rolling with the Bulls.
Yeah, and Jackson, I'm going to need to hear your howl because you are going to be a lone wolf in this one. I do think that South Florida has proven that they can beat the better teams. They've beaten Florida earlier this season, and North Texas really hasn't played anybody too good to have that undefeated record. I think they're kind of frauds a little bit, and I think that the Bulls are going to win this one. Going into our next matchup, we have Michigan taking on USC. Almost said UNC, where Drake May plays, but it's USC. Brandon, we're going to go to you first in this one.
I've said it before, and I'm sticking with it. There is a sleeper team in the Big Ten in Southern California, and that would be the USC Trojans. Give me Jaden Maeva, and I think he has a big game. I think they wind up with a win in the Coliseum.
USC's pass game has really been strong, and you pointed out the name Jaden Maeva. Michigan's defense has looked really solid overall, but during the season they've shown a little bit of weakness when it comes to the opening drives and allowing big plays, especially in the air raid attack. So give me USC over the Wolverines.
Yeah, this USC team's not built to play Big Ten football, grind it out, smash mouth. They're built for this West Coast offense. Lincoln Riley, get it run down his throat every single week. It happened for the last 10 years since he was at Oklahoma. This USC team can't contend with Michigan's rushing attack.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it looks like you're going to be the lone wolf in this one because I got USC winning this one. Brandon had me bought into this USC team a few weeks ago when we were talking about the conference in general. And I do think that Michigan has shown some weakness this season. I think Jaden Maeva is going to tear this defense up. And I think that since this game is being played in USC, being played in California, I think Michigan is going to be too cold. They're not going to be ready for this heat that they're going to play in L.A.
Yeah, I was the only one to pick Illinois to beat USC a few weeks back, too, and saw how that one worked out.
Yeah, we saw how that happened. Going into our next matchup, we got Oklahoma taking on Texas. Texas is favored by 1.5 in the Red River rivalry. I'm going to throw this one to Aiden first.
Yeah, I can't believe Texas is favored in this one. Even if they are the home team, this Oklahoma team has been absolutely impressive so far this season. Defense has shut everybody down. I don't think Arch Manning is going to be the one to finally crack the code against the Oklahoma defense. Oklahoma cruises in this one.
It's a lot of speculation with would John Mateer return for this. Even if John Mateer doesn't return, I still think Oklahoma wins. I mean, Texas has had too many inconsistent offensive struggles, and with Oklahoma's defense being one of the top in the SEC and have proven time and time again this entire season, I'm going to take Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry.
So I had this game circled as one of the games that could potentially decide the SEC going into the season, but now things have changed. Texas is now unranked after losing to Florida. Oklahoma, the questionability of John Mateer's health has played a big part in how I view this Oklahoma team now. But I think the defense makes enough stops, and I think Oklahoma winds up with the win here.
Yeah, we talked about Texas's offense earlier, and it's just not performing up to what we know they can do, especially with Arch Manning back there at quarterback. But if John Mateer plays, I think Oklahoma wins this by 2 scores. But even if he doesn't, I still think that they win this game by at least a touchdown. I think that Oklahoma, their defense is going to be the main reason why they make it very far, and I feel like they make a playoff push. So give me Oklahoma in this one. Now, we have Georgia taking on Auburn. Georgia favored by 3.5. Brandon, I'm going to throw this one to you first.
I've seen this rivalry ruin the friendship of a lot of fans. And I think this will be the first true road test for Georgia this season. I think that they wind up coming out of it unscathed. I think they wind up winning. But don't discount this Auburn defense. I think they keep them in the game for a while. But I'll take Georgia, I'll say 27-17.
Auburn's defense has really been the highlight of this Auburn team. Jackson Arnold has looked a little streaky this season, but I really like Georgia's defense, and especially with the run game with Nate Frazier over there. That's something that Georgia truly excels at, and I really like the upside of Gunnar Stockton heading into this matchup. So I don't understand why it's a 3.5 point, difference. But I'm going to take Georgia by a confident 10 points against Auburn.
Ooh. Yeah, playing at Jordan-Hare is never an easy thing to do. It's a very tough stadium to go into, and this Auburn defense has looked stout so far this year. But I do think Georgia just has more talent at every facet of the game, just more experience in these big games too. I'm going to go Georgia easily, as much as it pains my heart to.
Now, call me crazy. This game is being played in Jordan-Hare. Like you said, it's not an easy place to play at. Cam Newton's number 2 jersey for Auburn is getting retired before this matchup. And we have dual threat quarterbacks going up against each other. We could see Jackson Arnold put up a Cam Newton-type performance maybe. I don't think they will. I think Auburn's offensive line is just not good. I think that Georgia's pass rush is going to be too much. Auburn is currently on a 2-game slide, and I think it's going to fall to a 3-game slide. Yeah. UGA gets this one done.
Yeah, if Jackson Arnold gets this win, they're going to have to retire his jersey after the game. It'll be a double jersey retirement day.
Going into our next matchup, we got Alabama taking on Mizzou. Bama is favored by 2.5 points. Aiden, who we got in this one?
Alabama. I'm a big Kalen DeBoer guy. This Alabama team is absolutely rolling right now after that loss to Florida State to start the year. I don't think Alabama is going to lose another game for the rest of the regular season, to be honest with you. I got Bama by a lot more than 2.5.
I really you know how high I am on Bo Pribula on Mizzou's quarterback. I think Alabama has the often edge and advantage, especially when it comes to the trenches side of that. And Missouri's look dangerous. Bo Pribula, Ahmad Hardy, Marquise Johnson, the whole 9 with that Mizzou team. It really hates me to say this, but it won't. I think Bo Pribula and the Mizzou Tigers overtake the Crimson Tide. Eeny, meeny, miny, Bo-tastic.
I think that Ty Simpson has completely changed the direction of how this Alabama season was going to go, both figuratively and literally. I think he's established himself as one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, and on the other side, obviously, you have one of Jackson's 20 Heisman favorites right now, Bo Pribula.
My one Heisman.
And Ahmad Hardy. I think Missouri is looking for their first home top 10 win since 2013 when they beat number 5 Texas A&M. And I know a win is on their wish list, but I give me the Crimson Tide getting the win in Columbia.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, Alabama, since week 1, since we saw them with that upset loss against Florida State, they've just looked near unstoppable since that loss. But Mizzou's going into this undefeated. And so we have a really, really good quarterback battle with Bo Pribula, Jackson's favorite player of all time, and Ty Simpson for Alabama. I could see a similar stat line between the two by the end of the game. I think the deciding factor in this one is that Mizzou is going to establish the run game. We saw the upsets earlier on in the episode. They all established a lead early in the game. They were able to establish something early in the game. I think that the Mizzou Tigers will establish that run game early on in this one, and I think that Mizzou gets it done in this one. So we'll have a split decision. Oregon versus Indiana is our next matchup. And Oregon is favored by 7.5 points. Aiden, we're going to start with you.
All right. I'm just going to say this Oregon team has been battle tested. They've won the big games. Nobody gets their team ready for a big game quite like Dan Lanning in football today, I don't think. And I don't believe in Coach Sig just yet. I don't think this Indiana team has it as much as I love Mendoza at quarterback over there. I can't bring myself to pick Indiana. I'm going to have Oregon, again, just cruising in this one. I think this is going to be a lot of games that should be close that are going to end up pretty easy wins for the favorite teams.
You know, Aiden Abe bought me into the hype last season of the Playbook and Fernando Mendoza in this Indiana team, especially when he hit the transfer portal over there. But Oregon has looked extremely explosive, especially at home. And you pointed it out, Aiden. The Oregon team can win the big games, and especially they truly proved it against that Penn State team a couple weeks back. So give me Oregon. I think it's going to be a hard-fought battle, but there's a reason why it's a 7.5-point spread. I think the Oregon Ducks are going to march down and take down Indiana.
Yep.
So this is the moment for Coach Cignetti over there at Indiana. He's had a tremendous success in his first 2 seasons, but he wants to avoid any sign that he's going to be the Big Ten's next James Franklin.
You think he'll get fired if he loses this too?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, no.
Maybe if his buyout
maybe if he loses 25 more like James Franklin does. But I think the college football world is going to be glued to this game, and the crowd in Eugene is going to make me want to say, hey, 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 hey. You make me want to jump. Throw my hands up and shout. Throw my hands up and shout. Throw my hands up and shout. Hey, 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 hey.
Hey, hey.
Give me the ducks.
Okay. Well,
Thank you, Pat McAfee.
Ducks
I
fly.
mean,
roll
Oregon has looked like the top team in college football. You can maybe argue Miami. Indiana is going to need to get off to a hot start to win this game, especially when playing in Oregon. But I feel like that stadium pulse, it's not just going to be going crazy. It will be going bodaciously crazy. But Oregon is facing the toughest and most aggressive defense that they've played all season, and Fernando Mendoza is going to have a legacy game. Originally, I was going to pick Oregon, but that's boring, and college football and boring do not belong in the same sentence. Give me the upset. Give me Indiana to win this game. Oh! And now we get into the best segment of the show. Who is that campus legend?
Bo Jackson, Herschel Walker, Reggie Bush, Cam Newton, Johnny Manziel. What do these guys have in common? All these players know what it's like to be a campus legend.
You heard it, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for Who's That Campus Legend. And, oh, man, am I excited for this one. I'm going to throw this one to Jackson first.
I'm going to throw it to Brandon Dyer.
Okay, Brandon's going first,
What?
I guess.
I'm going to throw it to Brandon Dyer.
I have a cornerback from Auburn.
Auburn corner.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't got a guess.
I don't know.
Undrafted in 2014.
Undrafted? Bro, come on.
Yeah, hey, he's a campus legend. Trust me, he's a campus legend.
I feel Aiden already knows. I don't know.
Aiden's thinking.
Name. Hold on.
I'm trying to think. I don't got nothing right now. Is Jackson cheating?
I really can't remember this guy's name. Okay,
Yeah, next
I don't
hint.
have it.
Played from 2014 to 2016.
Okay.
Like in the NFL?
Yeah.
Yes. what was his? Oh wait, he was undrafted. What team?
Played for the Chargers and the 49ers.
Oh,
Chargers and 49ers.
I understand why now.
Yeah, it's Auburn's gonna win the football game.
Oh.
But I don't remember the name. I can't remember whose name they say.
I don't-
He's back deep to receive. I could think of just back deep to receive. And, you know,
All right, can
Auburn's
we
gonna
throw
win the
up our
football
thing?
game, but I don't remember who.
Yeah,
the
I'm not
guy
remembering
was.
his name either. I got
Yeah.
nothing.
Can we throw it up?
Yeah.
Throw it up.
All right, throw it up. No.
What?
Noah
I didn't even
Brown.
write
No.
nothing.
Is it Chris Davis?
Chris
Davis.
Davis is
Oh
his
my
name.
gosh, I couldn't
Yeah,
think of
Chris
his name.
Davis. Davis. Auburn's gonna win the football game.
All right, Jackson,
Chris
you're up.
Okay. This guy was a Texas Tech wide receiver.
Got it.
I don't think it's who you think it is, Aiden.
Nah, it is.
I'm gonna need that next hint.
He went undrafted
What are we doing?
in 2004.
Why are we
What, in
doing undrafted
2004?
Undrafted receiver in 2004.
How is this? Next hint.
It's the years, right?
Yes.
He played from 2004 to 2015.
Maybe I did get it. I don't know. I don't think this guy went undrafted.
Do you want the teams?
Yes. Give me the teams.
I'm logging in.
He's. All right. Are you locked in?
I'm not locked
okay.
in.
I've been locked
I
in
need the
for
last
3.
hint.
Okay. Miami, the Rams, the Chargers, the Broncos, and New England.
All right. I have a guess.
All
Doesn't
right.
sound right, but
Actually,
all.
no. I locked in on Texas Tech wide receiver. I'm locked in for 4.
yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I throw it up. Wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Yeah,
Wrong.
Brandon Amendola.
It was Wes Welker.
Wes
Oh.
Welker. Oh my gosh.
The other Patriots receiver.
Yeah.
I got to meet Wes Welker one time. Pretty cool guy. All right.
I was like,
Aiden, you're up next.
I was like,
My player was a wide receiver at Miami.
There's a lot of those.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
I'm
know.
not locking in
Keep
yet.
going.
He was drafted in the first round, 11th overall in 1988.
Brandon?
Yep.
One of
Brandon's
My guess is
low of a
Brandon Dyer.
pick?
I'm locking in Brandon Dyer for my guess.
First round, 11th overall, 1988.
I'm going to need the next pick. Or
All
the
right.
next-
Hold on, I'm
yeah.
logging in.
Brandon's locking in for 3.
He played from 1988 to 1999.
Oh,
That's Brandon Dyer's era. I don't know
I'm going to
this.
need the teams.
He played exclusively for the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know if this is right or not, but
All right. Give me a reveal, guys. Michael Irvin, all
Michael
around. Everybody got it.
oh wow!
Irvin.
All right, Brandon locked in for 3,
Yeah.
and then me and Jackson both get a point. All right, I am up. I have a wide receiver from Ohio State University.
That
Oh,
doesn't help at
man.
all.
You know, I really want to just.
Even with draft years, this is going to be impossible. They have 3 a year.
Maybe when I tell you his pick 25 in 2006.
Keep going.
I'm going to lock in.
25 in 2006.
Pick 25 in the first round in 2006.
Yeah, I almost locked in at Ohio
Hold
State
up.
wide receiver, and I would have lost.
No, that's not right.
I may know who this is. I'm locking in.
I don't know.
Brandon locks in for 3.
I'm
Nobody else locking
Keep
in?
going.
Our next hint, he played from 2006 to 2014.
Go one.
We're gonna need the teams.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
set solidify.
The teams are the Steelers, the Jets, and the Bears.
Oh. Oh.
Okay. Yeah, I'm locked in.
All right.
I'm locked in too.
Go ahead and flip those boards.
Got
See, we got Alshon Jeffrey. We got Brandon Marshall. and
Brian
Hartline. What a
Hartline.
pull. This is Santonio Holmes. So nobody gets points there. Well, ladies and
Brutal
gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this episode of The Playbook. I, of course, am your host, JT, joined by Aiden Aby, Jackson Voles, Brandon Dyer, and, of course, Joey Prater in there. Shout out to him for running the cameras for us as well. We will see you all next week.